Hi, my name's Alice. This is Morag the van. She lives up in Scotland and I'm going to show you around her. So I designed my van around the idea that I really wanted to have my surfboards along the roof. That's partly for security, so that I don't have to take them off the roof and put them inside when I stop. I also just think surfboards are really beautiful items, so I like to have them on display, and like you become emotionally connected with your van, you have the same relationship with your surfboards, so it's nice to be able to stare longingly at them when you go to bed. So I work up in Scotland. I'd spent a couple of years there, and when I realised I was to be spending a couple more years in Scotland, I decided that I really wanted a van to make sure that I was exploring every last inch of Scotland that I could. So I pretty much do whatever adventure sport going. I'm not particularly accomplished at them, but I live near surfing beaches, so I go surfing when I can. If it's a flat day but clear skies, then you go mountaineering. I've recently started climbing, which is good for trying to combat a fear of heights. I've done a little bit of mountain biking, which is terrifying, but I'm gonna keep at it. Free diving is another one, which is great if it's a flat water day. Okay, so this is the inside of Morag the van. Starting from the cab, I really don't like ugly cabs, so I've put quite a lot of work into trying covering up all of the grottiness. It's an ex-double glazing van, so it was really dirty when I had it. I've patchworked fabric all over the sun visors because they were just really dirty. I've painted all of like the sort of plastic that was a horrible yellowy colour, and I just painted that grey to keep it all in keeping. I've ended up stapling fabric along the top of the ceiling and putting like a little starry sky, which is really nice when it's dark. And then I've got the seats here which twist around, which is super useful. It opens up the space massively, and it keeps the space really flexible. So if it's just me, I quite often will just eat on the driver's seat and just eat here. If there's two of us, quite often we'll just keep the bed out and eat here. This table is removable. It's a really beautiful piece of wood. So I find with the kitchen area, I absolutely adore my sink. I actually just got it online, and it wasn't much more expensive than a normal sink that you'd buy for a van. It's basically just glued in with some super strong glue to keep it in place, but obviously it's nice to have the sink as more of a centerpiece. Tiles on the back I hosted my friends for an event. They all came up to Scotland, and then the next morning we went to a tile shop and we all painted tiles. So all of my tiles are painted by my friends, and I love them very much because they remind me of them. We've got a beautiful kettle my mum bought me for my birthday, and I went with quite a smart hob, just to try and move away from the excessive amounts of silver that you sometimes get in vans. I've got these cupboards, super useful for storage. I've got all my kitchen stuff in there, and then likewise in these cupboards I've got a water tank, and then we've got more food boxes in there. Now I just have a little cool box. I did that because I didn't want to spend lots of money on solar panels and a fridge. Plug it in when you drive and it generates cool air, so it's actually pretty effective. It will last you a couple of days. Yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with my dress. Keep all my cutlery in here, yeah, and other like little bits and bobs, and it means I get to look at my plates all day. I've got a little mirror that I've just got hanging on the wall. I've literally just created like a little copper hook for it. I basically didn't see why I can't hang things on the wall of the van. So gas-wise, I've got behind this curtain is a gas box. As you can see, I've got my little Morag fridge magnet just to keep it pretty, and then inside there is your gas. So you turn that, it's always the opposite of what you think it would be, so you turn it anti-clockwise to, turn it fully anti-clockwise to open the gas. And then you just twist these levers. One here is for gas and one here is for the heater. Then likewise another switch here, and that is the electric pump, so that then turns on the tap. I sometimes find that the pump does make a little noise, so you need to be careful to turn everything off at night to not disturb you in your sleep. And then the heater itself is then the heater system is down here under the seat, and you just twist the knobs here and it all runs off the gas. Water tank I keep under the sink here. So under here I've got my water tank. This is my little portable toilet, which is just for emergencies. Likewise, little portable urinal just in case. Brush for sweeping out stuff, and then I've just got some extra like toilet bits, plastic bags, that sort of thing, just kept under there. So this is kind of all like the boring, very practical stuff in there. This is the table seat setup. I actually went on a little trip with a friend of mine in a different van, and he had this setup and I really liked it. It basically gives you really, really flexible space. So if I've got lots of friends in, we can all eat dinner around the table. I sometimes just invite my friends for dinner in my van, because that's what you do when you have a van, I guess. The table legs are just removable. You just pull the table off, move the legs away, and then this drops down, and then there are 2 rails that sit on the fronts of the seats here, and it just sits on there. The table is a little bit shorter, so I've also got a couple of extra slats of wood that just fill up the end. These mattresses are then double layered. This is my lovely African fabric that I brought back from Tanzania. I then pick up one of the mattresses, put it underneath, or it can turn into a single bed if I've got a third person sleeping, and then the other mattress sits in the middle, and then I've got all my bedding kept just stored away at the top of the cab there. So I'm going to demonstrate how the bed goes down. Okay, so this bit just slides in here. I have an excessive amount of cushions. Under here is where I keep my slats of wood. There you go, so then that's the mattress down, and then you just grab all the bedding and lay it over. And it looks pretty because there's lots of fabric everywhere. So this sleeps me, so I'm 5'8", and I can sleep comfortably lengthways. If you have someone who's taller, you end up kind of sleeping a bit diagonally. I mean, there's no reason to say that you have to sleep in a square bed. You can have a diamond bed, so that's fun too. Probably the favourite bit of my van is my headboard, which is this. I'm just a huge fan of fabrics, and I basically wanted to, I feel like every piece of fabric is a bit of artwork, so I just wanted to include as much as possible. So I actually ended up ordering loads of free samples when you go on fabric websites or John Lewis website, and you can just ask for free samples. And I ended up, it's a bit naughty, ended up getting all my friends to order free samples as well. So I ended up with boxes and boxes of little squares of fabric, and then patched it all together. We decided to stick with just doing William Morris on the headboard, because when obviously fabric can be in such drastically different styles, we felt like that created like nice continuity between the designs, but also still, you know, getting that impact of having lots of different fabrics. It's basically completely unnecessary and serves no purpose whatsoever, but I kind of threw the practicality rule book out the window, because I think it's a bit boring when people get a bit channel-minded with being practical about vans. I think just because it's small doesn't mean it can't be fun. We did similar on the footboard, and then moving up onto this side, I've got these gin bottle lights, which the little lights turn on. Basically got a Polaroid camera, and I take pictures every time I have friends in the van, so I've got my little memories there. The gin bottles, one was drunk on my first trip in a van, which then started the whole journey of getting a van, and the other one was drunk with my friends down in London, so it reminds me of them. I've also got this little shelving unit here. It's basically just got all of the little knickknacks that you might need. So it's got my camera, basically any book with any kind of outdoorsy theme goes here, because I like to think that I can sit in the mountains and read my books about the mountains. I've got my drinks cabinet down at the bottom here, so all my wine bottles are just squeezed in there. Got a couple of little bottles of whiskey here, which is very important for a Scottish van. Yeah, and a little bit of bunting that just wraps around the back of it, which is also William Morris. people are suddenly very keen to come and see me in Scotland, which is nice. I've had people who've wanted to come to see the van as opposed to me, which is also, yeah, I suppose it's nice.
I hope you enjoyed that content. If you hadn't noticed, we do have an ebook that we sell, and the link is just in the description. It contains 160 pages crammed full of practical advice, walkthrough information, electronic schematics and part lists, which will make your job a lot easier for doing a van conversion, and it will save you time and money. Also, we've created special videos for the ebook which enable you to see walkthroughs for how to do loads of things in a van conversion. So that's for water systems, for your electrics, for how to do simple woodwork joints that anyone can do. I really believe that anyone, regardless of their experience, can make a half decent van conversion. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate you watching our content, and we put a lot of effort to make it interesting, informative, and find those cool projects that feature on our channel. Consider subscribing, leave a comment, and we'll see you next week.